Welcome to another episode of OG 55. We're doing a theme park roundup today. Not Woody's roundup, theme park roundup. We're talking about everything from the electrical sky parade over there in Paris. We're talking about some Tiana stuff. We're going to speculate. We're gonna go to Speculation Town, USA. We're gonna talk about some things that were popping up in the I believe it's the Florida version of this attraction that we find very, very interesting. We got some country bear news. I mean, there is a ton that we're going to talk about today. It is a boom. It's a stacked show. It's stacked like Pringles. Up next on OG 55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I am joined by the one, the only, George, the Italiano, host of our Walt Disney World show here on the channel. George, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me on. I was really looking forward to this discussion with you because Disney has just been popping out all these, major announcements. It started with a lot of the theme park perks that are returning to the parks and resorts, and now we're getting some little tidbits of what's to come in the parks themselves, some grand openings, some closures, some refurbishments. So Disney's they're pressing on that pedal a little bit. So I'm very happy that they are, because I mean they mentioned that the turnaround was going to be 2024, and here we are.
They're pulling those levers. Christine McCarthy, she's, her legacy lives on. You can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. There we go. All right, let's dive into the festivities. Take my hand, everybody. Let's take a journey to Speculation Town, USA. Here we go. Here we go. Speculation Town, USA. Now, this is courtesy of, give me one second. Let me just kind of like shrink this down a little bit here so you can actually see the gentleman's name. Mr. Henry Taylor, at T Graham Memories. Okay. So as you can see here, this is the Florida version of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I believe this is the outdoor portion. You see two little frogs there. Okay. Now, this is why this is kind of important. This is why we're going to kind of speculate about this, right? It could be nothing, but where this attraction takes place, the timeline takes place of this attraction after the events of the original film. Tiana and Naveen would not be frogs at this juncture. So they would not be frogs technically in this attraction. They shouldn't be, at least. Now, why are these frogs here? They look like Tiana and Naveen. Are they Tiana and Naveen? I don't know. I mean, look, you could see the animated version is right here, and you can kind of see they're very similar in body structure and shape with the eyes and everything. I don't know what to make of it. Now, if it is them, then they went back to the drawing board, so to speak, and the story that we were told is either gone or, well, probably not gone, but drastically altered to make it to fit in some of these elements of the original movie, right? And if they did do that, does that mean that Dr. Facilier might make an appearance in this attraction? Again, we're just speculating. It's just weird that these two frogs look very, very similar to that of Tiana and Naveen in their frog form. What do you think, George? What's your speculation? What's your gut telling you, sir?
So as of right now, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering. Well, a question that pops up into my mind is, even though it's showcasing it on the outside, is that eventually that piece going to be installed inside, or is that actually the placement of exactly where those frogs are going to be? So that's kind of questionable. We really don't know yet. So when that photo was taken, was it just sitting there for them to install it on the inside, or was it properly placed on its final resting spot?
I would think my guess is it's final because it's like they're kind of perfectly like on that log. But who knows? I mean, you're right. It could just be like they put them there and they're gonna move them. It could
Right.
be, you know.
Well, I mean, like even that whole piece of log.
Oh, I
Like I
see what you're
wonder, like
saying.
if the whole thing has to be placed inside. Are they just setting it there, just because of construction and everything has to get maneuvered, or is that actually foundation that's actually built already into the attraction itself? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm kind of questioning myself. I did send you a piece of artwork in your DMs, brother. I don't know if you
Oh,
received it.
okay.
It's kind of a little bit difficult to see, but because they're on the far right, um, but it does showcase. I believe it was three frogs though. In this piece of concept art. Now there's only two, so there's could be also speculation. Did they just cut it down from three to two, or is it because these two frogs are actually Tiana and Naveen? Um, so it's kind of like an iffy type thing because it can go either way. My only question is that if they decided to do this and change the storyline, see off to the right hand side,
You see the frogs,
you see the frogs. But
and
now
we
these
just
frogs are sitting on, I don't know, it looks like a little grassy patch, so it's not a log.
right, and we've seen artwork, not even just this one, other pieces of art for this attraction with generic, like they look like Tiana and Naveen frogs, but they're not them. And we've seen not just this piece of art, but other pieces of art with that. So that's why this is a huge there's a huge caveat here with this. It's just something to kind of have fun and speculate with because here's my mindset with this, right? Bruce Vaughn came back in the middle of this project,
Mhm.
right? He's a veteran Imagineer, and he's coming in with all his institutional memory. I would imagine he had notes, right? He came in with notes. He probably has some things that he wanted to change and swap up. Disney, I'm sure, have heard the complaints that this is taking place the timeline after, and there's no Dr. Facilier, there's no this, there's no that. So I could see Bruce Vaughn coming in and going, all right, we got it. We got to incorporate some of these other story beats in here and these characters because I think it's something that the audience will want to have in this attraction, right? So I can see that playing out. Will they do that though? Can they even do that with the Salt Hill
Right.
thing and all that?
Well, and it also plays to the question what was bought if these speculations were true from a fellow Imagineer that claimed that Bob Iger was walking through the attraction and had mentioned something that this is no good, this is,
Boring.
what boring, what was he proclaiming to? So could this be the answer? Are they answering to the fact of what he was saying if that is exactly in the contents that he was speaking of? But to what you were saying, and also what my question is, are they too far down the pipeline to make such a major change that would alter essentially the storyline completely?
Yeah, I mean that would drop a bomb in their entire storyline. It would just change everything because the whole thing is based on this thing happening after the events of that first film. So if they were to do this, it would change things. I mean, they would have to really tweak it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a flashback. No, I was kidding.
That's what I. But actually, no. I was just gonna say that. I wonder, like, if it's supposed to be like showcasing. Maybe Mama Odie shows Tiana like a piece of her past to kind of for her to move forward in her future. Like this is where you were. Look how far you came, or something or other. I don't
Could
know
be
because you have to think too. Splash Mountain was an 11-minute ride,
right.
so the foundation, the track, the layout, that's all still there. So they have to incorporate a story that can fit 11 minutes worth into this attraction and make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see where this is going.
Yeah, me too. I'm very, very curious. It's worth speculating over, um, but I'm not really sure where I stand on it. I think that they're kind of like, I think there is a desire on Disney's end to sort of, I could see the mindset, right, where they would want to add in the frog versions of these characters, where they would want to sort of, tweak the story where you can add the characters like Dr. Facilier. I can see the why that would be of interest to Disney. So that's why that's kind of my mindset of like maybe they're making changes to please the audience. I just don't know necessarily if this is what we're seeing here and if it's even possible, if they can even do that based on the story that they originally came up with. It would
Uh,
take, you know, a
Yeah,
lot of
I
tweaking.
will say when you look at these frogs, it's definitely a male and a female. The one on the right has more of the female qualities, where the one on the left is more bigger, more kind of,
Right.
so it's definitely a male and a female. Is that a coincidence? Did Disney kind of put that there on purpose to kind of get the speculation juices flowing, to get people talking about this and maybe have something to look forward to? There's a possibility.
And it could be they're supposed to look like them, but they aren't them. But it's sort of like it kind of gives like the normies, like it kind of pacifies the normies, right? Because technically it's not them, but it looks like them. So your kid's not going to know any better, right?
Right.
So you pass by it and, oh, okay, great, but technically it's not them. But when kid's not going to know, so it doesn't matter. It could be something like that, right? Where they're kind of doing a little bit of like a semantics game and hoping people don't really put two and two together or something. It could be a million different things, but it is interesting. And look, regardless whether it's Tiana and Naveen or whatever, I mean the figures look pretty cool. So everything I've seen with the figures, whether it's these, whether it's the giant Lewis animatronic that they showed, that it wasn't done, but it looked massive. The scale was huge. I think that the figures in this attraction are going to be really, really incredible. I know Disneyland's version of Splash Mountain. I've never been on the Magic Kingdom version, but Disneyland's version of this attraction, some of the animatronics are not great. Like the Brer Bears, I mean, the Brer Rabbit stuff, a lot of them, he looks like a stuffed animal to me. It's not even, it looks like a Teddy Ruxpin or something laying there. You know what I'm saying? The animatronics were not that fantastic. So for me, what I'm seeing with some of this stuff, it looks better than a lot of stuff that we have in ours. Now, I don't know what the animatronics look like in the Florida version, but these look like a step up, at least for me. And I'm sure we'll keep some of those old animatronics, like some of the crocodiles and critters. I'm sure some of those will stay in this new version, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll keep an eye on it. George and I are going to keep our eyes peeled because you just never, ever, ever know.
You don't.
It's interesting. So on to our next topic from courtesy of Mr. Scott Gooston. This is kind of spicy here. This is actually very, very spicy. The Country Bear Jamboree at Magic Kingdom Park will close for refurbishment on January 27th. Very, very soon, everybody. And reopen with a new show this summer. No specific opening date provided. Okay, so that's interesting. Now we don't have a date, but we have a general time frame this summer. Cool. But here's where it gets a little more interesting. In its official announcement, Disney hinted at more changes coming to Frontierland, right? Quote, we have a lot of growth and investment planned for our theme parks in the coming years and look forward to sharing more announcements about Frontierland. So y'all come back now. Yeah, here. Now, there was a Mickey Views video, to his credit, a few months ago, or well, actually a while ago now, probably half a year ago, 6-7 months ago. He was talking about this, the desire from Disney to sort of turn that Pecos Bill and that little area into a Tiana restaurant and make a little mini New Orleans. Now, I support that. I mean, it would make Tiana's Bayou Adventure make a lot more sense. What say you, George? I mean, are we looking at like possibly what Braden was talking about here?
So, starting off with the Country Bear Jamboree, this is definitely the first starting point to what Disney is proclaiming more things to come with Frontierland. I find it quite interesting that they made this announcement quite quickly in the short amount of time. Normally Disney kind of gives you a little bit of a leadway when they announce a closing date, but it's very relatively soon. So whatever I feel like they have else in the pipeline for Frontierland, they want to get the ball moving quickly, because when Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens in late 2024, they have to have everything kind of cohesive for the lands to flow. And speaking of the Country Bear Jamboree, which I did not know that this was going to be the final day of the original classic Country Bear show, but I will actually be in Walt Disney World for its last showing. our very good friend and collaborator of the channel, Slimer, had texted me the dates, and sure enough, its last day is January 26th. So I had to do some changing with my park reservations, but I'm definitely going to Magic Kingdom for the final showing of the Country Bears.
That's gonna be awesome. That's go
Um,
ahead, continue, sir.
but moving along forward with Frontierland, what I find is interesting is, yeah, more so, I would say Braden's speculation, or what have you, whatever he heard from his inside sources. I feel like the New Orleans mini area is definitely relevant. It's definitely pretty much going to be something or other once Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens. Pecos Bill will become something of like a Tiana's Place or Tiana's Foods, or what have
Right.
you. And it'll just be like a little New Orleans kind of little mini land, like little market or what have you, which I'm all for. That's perfect. The bigger question now is, on top of them making the what ifs kind of questioning for Beyond Big Thunder, what say that, because then they would have to do something with Big Thunder. So does
Right.
that tie into the what if of Beyond Big Thunder? Because you would then have Frontierland, New Orleans Square, Frontierland again. So
Right.
it's completely, so it would have to be something that would tie into Big Thunder. And also coming from Mickey Views, that he kind of had the notion of having like this southwestern kind of desert area, which would incorporate a lot of
Coco and
Coco and
yeah.
Encanto tied into Big Thunder. But then they also have put in the notion that Coco and Encanto may be coming to Animal Kingdom, but at the same time, Disney hasn't fully confirmed on that yet either. That area was supposed to be for Moana, and that ended up changing.
Yeah, well, Encanto is I believe it's Colombia, and they have a lot more greenery over there. So maybe they can do Encanto over in Animal Kingdom, but then put Coco, make Big Thunder and like add a Coco attraction, make that kind of like a Latin, like Southwest kind of area. They could do that, maybe do both, you know? So you put Encanto in Animal Kingdom, you put Coco maybe next to Big Thunder, and you kind of kill two birds with one stone. Maybe they'll do that. I think it's interesting. I think it's very, very interesting.
They may even have multiples. I mean, we even talked about this on the show as well. Like, how many times could you utilize an IP? If it's strong enough, they might utilize those IPs for both parks.
Absolutely. They do it with Toy Story all the time, you know? I mean, so you never know, right? In terms of the Pecos Bill and all that, yeah, it just makes the most sense. First of all, Tiana is a much more relevant brand or IP than Pecos Bill by by a mile, by 100 miles. You know what I'm saying?
You ask a normie who Pecos Bill is, they won't even know who you're talking about.
Right, right, exactly. So, no matter how hot his girl riding the catfish is, he he's still irrelevant. No one knows, whatever. That cartoon is an awesome cartoon, but it's just it's old school, and a lot of people don't know about it. So it makes sense to kind of kill two birds with one stone, right? What you do is you get Tiana's over there. It's more relevant. You can do all the beignets, all that good stuff, the New Orleans food. You turn that into a little New Orleans square. Making Tiana's make sense in the area. And then you can add some more relevant IP over there by Big Thunder, like such as Coco and what have you. I don't know. It makes a whole lot of sense. We'll see. We'll see how much money goes into this, how far they go with it. But at the very least, I think they should definitely do the Pecos Bill. It would just look really weird to have this attraction in the middle of Frontierland and not.
But now that actually questions to the fact of that they'll still have Tom Sawyer Island that's just adjacent off of Big Thunder. So I wonder if they could still just keep Big Thunder as part of Frontierland, but they kind of reroute the map, so to speak, where the location is, that maybe they build a bridge that you can kind of go from where the start of Frontierland is, where the Country Bears is, to where, it can connect you to Big Thunder instead of walking all the way, to kind of give like that interconnection of Frontierland, because essentially you still have Tom Sawyer Island. So,
Right.
so I don't know if that kind of plays into part of it or not, because you could still see the island when you're in the beginning part of Frontierland, but it's just the Big Thunder location is what's kind of challenging them as far as like the cohesiveness in the storyline.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. If they put the right money into it and get creative, they can definitely work around those challenges. It's just a matter of them putting the money in and doing it, you know? I liked a lot of the ideas that came from Braden a few months ago with this. A lot of the ideas that he presented were actually pretty solid. And those were ideas that he was hearing. So it's encouraging. It's very encouraging. But I don't know. I think it's interesting that Disney officially said today they acknowledged changes or things are coming to Frontierland. So stay tuned. So it really looks like that whole Frontierland project, probably the little New Orleans, has been greenlit and is a go. It looks like that's moving forward. The Frontierland, Big Thunder stuff, that's a big question mark still. But I think they're going to want to get at least the Pecos Bill stuff going because the attraction Tiana's is coming soon. So yeah. It'll be interesting.
But Bruce Vaughn did hint at the fact that they were still thinking about and considering stuff for Beyond Big Thunder. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to just focus on and make those announcements now, possibly at the D23 event, and then later down in the pipeline worry about the extra happenings for Big Thunder.
Yeah, that's something that it can do it a little bit later on. You don't have to address that right away. Tiana's is a little more urgent, and that area around it is a little more urgent. Because we had an issue here in California at Disneyland Resort at DCA where they rethemed the tower to Mission Breakout, and it stuck out like a sore thumb for literally years until they built Avengers Campus around it. That used to drive me crazy because I have OCD. That used to drive me nuts. And one of the biggest things that I was excited about for Avengers Campus was it'll finally make Mission Breakout make sense. So I don't want a situation like that for Magic Kingdom and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Hopefully they can get their attraction open and they can get that Pecos Bill rethemed and everything into a New Orleans, at least maybe not on opening day, but close enough where it's more cohesive from early on as opposed to what happened with Mission Breakout and Avengers Campus. But now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is The Simpsons. Okay, this is from our friend Universal Core. I love Universal Core. You definitely got to check this guy out on Twitter. He's awesome. He has a lot of scoops, a lot of Universal scoops. Actually, really, really a great follow especially if you're a Universal fan. So check him out. But here's what he's saying. This is fascinating. Hearing Disney will start incorporating the Simpsons character meet and greets more into the parks. Might start at the El Capitan as a test. What do you think about that, George? Having the Simpsons as meet and greets in the parks, and what parks would you put them in?
So the only park for me that the Simpsons would ever relatively fit in for Disney would be Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Because essentially you're speaking of Hollywood and you're talking about the longest running primetime show that's ever been on television, and it's still going.
Or Hollywoodland in DCA.
Or yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I would put it. Now, as far as meet and greets, this is where I kind of go back and forth on it a little bit, and I know I'm probably in the minority. Even you, OG, are probably going to disagree with me on this.
We don't disagree. We don't disagree here, George. I can't be your brother anymore, man. This is crazy.
That's true.
Come on, man. I can't. Come on. Different opinion, dude. I'm furious now. No, go ahead. I do apologize.
But see, if you're just going to do a meet and greet,
yeah,
with these kind of characters in a Disney park, that's really going to stick out like a sore thumb because there's no relevance to anything. It's just the Simpsons characters plotted somewhere just for a meet and greet. So they're going to have something to kind of back it up so it makes sense to why you're meeting the Simpsons in the Disney parks. So I still would create some sort of Simpsons mini land. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like the type of land you are now getting at Universal, because at both Universal parks, they're hideous. They're very cringy. And I feel like if they were to do something where it actually feels like you're walking in through Springfield, and I don't mean, again, just like this sort of like I mean like a full-on like strict detail of walking through Springfield. And if they did maybe a type of a Simpsons dark ride, not like how the Simpsons ride is, where it's a simulator and it's all that. Like if they were to do like a full on dark ride where they incorporated maybe some audio animatronics type of things like that, I can understand it. I just don't know how it would look
Yeah.
just having the Simpsons there, just standing there out of plain sight as a meet and greet. I don't
Yeah,
know how that would look.
that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so I made a tweet today, and I was saying like, here's my issue with The Simpsons in general. Now, not as a show, it's great. I mean, it's one of the most successful shows of all time. It's up there with I Love Lucy and all the television, icons or whatever. I mean, it really is. Simpsons it's been running for what, like 30 plus years or something crazy.
I think like 30, 35 years.
Yeah, it's the GOAT. I mean, it's crazy how long this thing has run.
But as a theme park, it's
right, and that's where I was getting at. As a show on primetime TV, the animation style is cool and it works. I just don't know how much you can even do with this style of animation in a theme park that will make it look any better than what Universal did. I think that some things work in the real world as a theme park experience and some things don't. Like I love Family Guy, but honestly, I have no desire to have a physical quahog where I walk through it. The animation is very primitive. Like with The Simpsons, it's a lot of, just very primitive looking, simple animation. You convert that into a theme park experience. You just don't have a lot of detail or anything. It's uninspired. So in my opinion, I wouldn't build anything Simpsons. I just don't know if you can do it where you can make it look any better than Universal's, that's the only problem.
That is true because it kind of has like that real whimsical, very colorful type of thing. And that's kind of where if you can't do that, in a sense, I really then wouldn't even add them into the parks at all.
It's tough. It's a tough one, because I like your idea though of a dark ride with the animatronics though. I think that could be really, really cute,
Okay, yeah. Let me. Maybe that would probably be better. Maybe if they did like a dark ride with animatronics, and then maybe have a little separate little meet and greet area outside of the attraction.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that than a full on land. I think maybe that's where it's like crippling the sense of having them in the parks.
Yeah, they could maybe they could figure something out with this where, it makes it they can bring them in without looking like a cringy. And look, Universal did probably the best that you could probably do with the subject material. That's the problem. Like, I'm not even crapping on Universal. I just think that like
no matter where you put them in whatever park, it's going to give that issue.
Yeah, well, it's like it's the style of animation. It's very flat. So it's just not a dynamic kind of like IP to bring into a 3D experience. You know what I'm saying? So I think whatever you do with it, it's going to be kind of cringy, kind of ugly, But a dark ride though, like if they had for example, right? Like if they had a dark ride where it showcased all the legendary TV shows of the past, like kind of like a great movie ride, but maybe of all the great sitcoms or all the great whatever over the years, over the last 60, 70 years, whatever it is. And Simpsons had a scene in that bigger experience or something like that. I'd be down for something like that. That might be kind of cool with some animatronics and all that. I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see. Now, here's the other thing too. The characters that remember at the D23 Expo in 2019, the Simpsons characters were walkarounds at the D23 Expo. Now, those walkarounds were actually the same exact costumes from Universal. Those are Universal's costumes.
That's I remember that.
They were Universal's costumes, and supposedly Disney's going to do their own, is the rumor. So we're going to get a different style of costumes for Disney's version of this if this happens. But I mean, Universal Core is a solid source. So if you say it, it's likely going to happen. I'm telling you.
The Simpsons are very heavily in Disney Plus right now. They were heavily at the expo because I actually went to go see the panel inside the arena with the actors and the creator and the writers and what have you. And then afterwards, that the cast and crew went to go do their autograph signings out on the showroom floor. So I mean, like they were definitely heavily incorporated into the expo.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's really, really interesting. They're still a hot property, you know, and they're popular. It's just that sometimes things don't translate well into a theme park experience.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, you watch a movie like Zootopia, right? And you watch that movie and you're immediately like, oh my God, I want to go there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Star Wars universe. Oh my God, I would love to go there. Like there's certain movies and franchises where you see these environments and you're like, wow, I would love to visit that in real life. I've never had that in all the years on this planet. I've never felt that with The Simpsons. And that could just be me, you know what I'm saying? But I've never go, wow, I gotta walk through Springfield. Not really. And here's another thing, like I even said, like Family Guy. I love Family Guy. I could sit and watch Family Guy all day long. I can binge that show all day long and not get bored at all. But do I want to visit Quahog and visit the clam bar and all that? Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But some people might. Some people might, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they do a Foxland or something and they add this and they add like Bob's Burgers and things like that. I mean, that's a possibility. Would you be down for that if they had like a general like Foxland?
Yeah, I think
with
if they
some
had
of these other animated.
Yeah, I think if they had a Foxland where it was generalized those type of licensing and branded products, so then you would have a section for The Simpsons, a section for Bob's Burgers, a section for Family Guy. I think that would kind of, because they all would coexist with one another. It would kind of fit together. But if you just grab The Simpsons and throw them right into everything else into the mix, and that's what Universal did, and it's not a good fit. It just doesn't look right.
And for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's been since 2019? It's been 5 years almost now. I still can't get used to them being Disney.
I can't either, actually. Like, I mean, I love The Simpsons and I love Disney, but I love them as two separate entities. I can't look at them and say they're Disney owned, even though technically they are.
No, 100%.
But I just look at them and I just say Fox. You know,
they feel just like a Fox thing, and it just feels weird. I know, like, okay, for example, Star Wars. Star Wars as a franchise has a lot of Disney elements in it, right? It's a galactic fairy tale. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It even starts off like Disney's fairy tale movies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars has always felt very Disney to me. I don't know. And I'm sure I get a lot of shit for that, but I just, that's how I feel. It's always felt very Star Warsy to me. Even Marvel, you know, you have superheroes and it feels like almost like I mean, and I know superheroes are for boys and girls, but superheroes, you know, it feels kind of like you know, you have the princesses and then you have the superheroes. They kind of, the yin and yang, they kind of work together, in my opinion. All right. Like, you know, little boys want to be a superhero, little girls want to be a princess. It kind of works together. It's all in that same family. You got pirates, superheroes, princesses. It kind of works. Okay. Simpsons though, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know what it is. I just can't wrap my head around it.
I remember when I was a young kid that we used to have. I don't know if they had them out there where you live, because I know they traveled. They used to call them Fox Fests, and they would actually hold them in our malls. They would come every year. They would have Fox Fest 96, Fox Fest 97, and everything. And they would bring in all the shows, all the characters, all the products that make up Fox. So like they had walk-around characters all throughout the mall. They would have the Life with Louie. They would have the Bananas in Pajamas. They would have the Tick, Blinky Bill, Baywatch. They actually had actors come for signings from the show Baywatch. They had some of the Marvel characters and also the Animaniacs, and they also had the Simpsons, and it was shows that may not be owned by Fox, but they were placed into like the Fox network at that time. So the Simpsons was some of them. So that's how I'm so used to seeing the Simpsons. But it's like when you say, okay, we're going to Disney, we're going to a Disney park, you don't quite necessarily tie into expecting to see the Simpsons there.
You don't. And look, I'm open minded. Like, if they can make it work and make it look good, awesome, 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 awesome. It's just that for me, from where I stand, the animation style just isn't a style that really lends itself to a theme park experience. It's a little too simplistic and there's not much detail there. So you're going to have a bunch of buildings like you do at Universal that it's like basically just these black lines and painted walls. And it's just kind of unattractive, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But right now, it looks like it's just going to be meet and greets. So, you know, we'll see how that ultimately pans out. But interesting stuff indeed. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got Turning Red. This is actually the Italiano's favorite movie. So George is like super stoked about this. Okay. Um, Turning Red.
I'm so excited. I just wet myself.
There we go. Exactly. Turning Red. Malin and Ming meet and greet coming to Lunar New Year 2024 at Disney California Adventure. Now, I will say this. I was not a fan of this movie. I wanted to really like this movie because I like the concept of it, actually. Like she turns into the red panda. I think that element of it is actually kind of dope, you know? And I even like the artwork. I mean, the animation style for the red panda even, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the costume character looks great. I'm not a huge Turning Red fan, though. I got to be honest. But hey, look, for Lunar New Year, it makes sense. It's in the right park, DCA, which is very Pixar heavy. I don't know. I mean, look, I can separate myself, right? Where it's like, I'm not a fan of this movie, but I know and understand there are a lot of people that are. So, you know what? If you enjoy this movie, that's great. And it makes sense in this park. It makes sense for Pixar Fest. I'm fine with it. What are your thoughts on it, George?
Yeah, I'm one that I, I'm not a fan of the movie by all means. I do agree with you. I love the animation. I love the actual initial concept of like what they were trying to accomplish. I just think the writing of the storyline just was completely off for me. But I will say the characters themselves are really cool. And I think,
Right.
and as you mentioned, it fits perfectly in the Lunar New Year type of thing. It has that vibe. It fits in so well in DCA. Um, the Turning Red characters were very popular in Shanghai when they first premiered, and a lot of domestic Disney fans are saying, when are they coming to the U.S. parks? Well, now's the chance, and I guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, that the meet and greet line is going to be out the wazoo to meet this character.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna. I think I am going to be out there for the beginning of the new year, the lunar new year, excuse me. So, um, who knows? Maybe I'll get in line. Get a picture taken. Why
Yeah, I
not?
mean, it's one of those movies where it's like I wasn't a fan of the movie, but like some of the characters are cute, like the red panda. I think it's adorable. You know, Chicken Little is another movie. Like I didn't like Chicken Little at all. It was one of Disney's worst animated films that they really honestly ever made, in my opinion. But the character himself is adorable. Like, how can you not love Chicken Little? He's the cutest thing. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of movies like that where, hey, maybe the movie's not great, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but the characters are visually appealing and maybe you like the character in and of themselves. So we'll see. We'll see. But it makes sense in this park. It makes sense for this time of year, Lunar New Year. It makes sense for Pixar Fest. It checks all the boxes in regards to that. I have no quibbles or problems with this at all. Absolutely not. All right. So our last topic of the day is, oh, I gotta, here we go. Give me 1 second, everybody. I gotta lower my volume. We're gonna play this because this is amazing. This is basically, I want to set the stage here. This is from Scott Gustin. So this is basically the electrical parade from the 70s, right? Which I love, the Main Street Electrical Parade. They took that concept and then they took drones and they said, why don't we do that parade concept in the sky? Absolutely incredible. Let's play a little bit of this
So
here.
yeah,
And
so basically, the Disney Electrical Sky Parade is basically a Disney Electrical Sky Parade. That's exactly what it is. It's like you're taking the parade on land and you're just throwing it up in the sky. And I tell you what, the projections, the technology, the drones, the music, the lighting, the colors, the water, everything. I watched this from beginning to end, and I tell you what, this looked immaculate on screen. I can imagine what this looks like in person.
Dude, this is incredible. Look at this. How are they even doing this? Are these drones have pyro on the drones too, where it can shoot off pyro on? I mean, look at this.
It must. That's see, and I love that kind of that kind of technology where you just in awe, where you just look at that and you say, "How did they do that?" And honestly, there's certain things at Disney that I don't want to know because
Right.
this is like the escapism. This is the fantasy of what makes Disney Disney.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. I would love to see this come to the States,
Yeah.
whether it's Anaheim, Walt Disney World. Now, I keep hearing that Disney, the Disney airspace is
Mhm.
restricted, so they can't do these shows. Now,
Correct. I
okay, but
believe.
then how
Yeah.
does like Bio reconstruct? How does he get the aerial shots then?
That
Right?
I don't know. That is where
Unless he's got like a
I
really
would.
good camera. Like,
It could be. I would actually really like to ask him, like, how does he get through? Maybe he's up so many feet. Maybe it's like where it's not high enough where it surpasses. But I do know that Disney can honestly switch that. Correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone that's watching, comment down below if can Disney turn that on and off whenever they want to, or is that like set in stone where it can never be altered for them to have
I,
the no fly zone
yeah,
notion?
I don't think they can just turn that on and off. I think that they're if it's in there, if it's there, it's there. Yeah, that's like that's like a what's the word for it? Like a state entity, right? Like,
Yeah,
we'll give them that or federal. I don't know, but like that's not something that they can just willy nilly decide. Well, today we're not doing it. You know,
yeah,
they can't do
yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah, they can't do that. But I wonder the accuracy of those reports though, because I go to Disneyland, I see helicopters flying all over the place. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I go to Disneyland, I see helicopters very close by, and aircraft and stuff. And if it's a no-fly zone, and then didn't Walt Disney World have a drone show in Disney Springs a few years ago? I
I
thought they
believe
did.
they might have. They did something where they were testing something. So maybe it just depends on the location. Um I'm not 100% sure. I would like to really dive deep into this conversation more with someone who may know like the logistics of that.
Me too.
Especially with the no fly zone policy because I know that was implemented after 9/11. Um so I'm very well curious. Maybe there's some yellow and red tape around those notions where Disney can still maybe do something in that nature. Maybe not as grand as Disneyland Paris, but maybe something.
Oh, sorry guys. I'm trying to find a video for us. Sorry, George. Because there's also a lot of other video on this that's pretty. Oh, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. I want to show everybody this. I do apologize, George. Continue on, please.
Oh yeah, so I feel like that in time, they will get something, but as what you're seeing on screen now, maybe not on this big of a scope. I mean, like look at that. That's just like freaking amazing.
It's incredible, dude. And I love this because they take the concept of the electrical parade. They even have some of the same floats with the snail, the little caterpillar, the blue fairy. And, but it's in the sky over the castle. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. You got the swans. Absolutely incredible. Come on. We got to get this over here in the States, dude. And I think honestly, to be fair, I think that Walt Disney World probably has a better chance of getting this. What do you think, George? Of getting this before Disneyland, just because you guys
I
have
think
more
yeah,
space.
I think Disney World has a higher chance of getting it first before Disneyland because Disneyland's already tackling, just getting the city of Anaheim and the residential and the corporate and the businesses on their side right now for Disneyland Forward. So I think they're going to want to tackle little things at a time first, and then maybe they could eventually move on to the drones. Because I'm not exactly sure how the city of Anaheim or the residential and or the businesses would deal with that, because everything is just so close in proximity.
Well,
Where with Walt Disney World, everything is cut off. Once you cross through over that arch,
right.
you're in the bubble.
And I would imagine there is a little bit of a safety issue with these, because I'm assuming that some of these drones don't work sometimes, and you have one or two fall out from the sky. I'm sure it happens.
But then that would also question to the fact of, do you think that actually the residential areas and the businesses in the city of Anaheim would prefer the drones over fireworks?
Probably, yeah.
So that might be to Disney's benefit.
To Disneyland's benefit, for sure, because if they can get the authorization to do that, because it's not as loud. Obviously, there's no big explosions or anything like that. And I could honestly, if Disneyland Resort is able to do these drone shows, I can see this replacing fireworks shows, or at least
I do too.
Right,
I do too.
Or at least greatly minimizing the fireworks shows.
Yeah, I think that they'll still use fireworks for certain things. They'll still use pyro. They'll still use, but at the same time, look at a lot of the issues that involved a lot of things going down because of fireworks, because of pyro. At Magic Kingdom, piece of the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train got caught on fire. I believe It's a Small World. I forget if it was at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, but I think something caught on fire with It's a Small World. Using pyro with Maleficent the Dragon at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. The dragon in the fantasy parade at Magic Kingdom, Maleficent's head caught on fire. The dragon in Fantasmic that literally halted the show entirely. That could have caused a lot of more damage and safety hazards than anything. So I think Disney might be trying to find ways to, as you had mentioned, maybe not completely remove fireworks and pyro completely, but to minimize it to what they can utilize it for.
Yeah. Well, and Disney's got a lot of tools in their toolbox now that they can use. They can do fireworks, but then they can do projections, and they can do drones, assuming they get the authorization to do so. They got a lot of stuff that they can work with, so they're not as dependent on these fireworks shows.
Well, and the other thing is too, Universal does the drone show with Wizarding World, because I had seen it at Universal Hollywood. So I assume that the no-fly zone type of thing is only proclaiming to Disney, correct? It's not anywhere else. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's just Disney. And also Universal's in a different county. It's in Los Angeles County. This is OC, Orange County, for Disneyland. That might affect some of this. Yeah, two different cities. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I'm completely honest. I'm not privy to the legalities or the regulations or whatever the city stuff at all. So we'll have to. I want to do a deep dive into that, though. I'd like to talk to somebody or that knows what that's all about and really break that down, because I think what we're hearing from fans isn't 100% accurate. Because if Disney's airspace was completely restricted, like we said, BioReconstruct wouldn't do what he does. Disneyland's airspace, I know it's not 100% restricted. I see helicopters and all that stuff all the time. I don't think the fan assumptions here are 100% accurate. I really want to ask somebody that is an expert on that and would know,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll see. But George, I want to thank you for joining me today, the Italiano. Everybody, let's go. Let's go. George, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. There we go. There we go. So everybody at home, comment down below with all your thoughts on the Simpsons meet and greet, maybe coming to Disney parks, Tiana's, the frogs. We're speculating, we're just having fun. But do you think that maybe, just maybe, they have changed the storyline enough where they can incorporate some of the characters, like the frog versions of Tiana and Naveen, into this attraction, maybe even Dr. Facilier if they change the storyline a little bit? Or do you think they're just frogs that happen to look like those characters, which is very possible too, which actually is probably the most likely? But comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. What about Turning Red coming to DCA for Lunar New Year? What are your thoughts on that? So everything we discussed, the Electrical Sky Parade, all of it, fireworks, we would love to hear from you. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day.